Before you enter the Varner-Hogg Plantation house, it would be well to say a few words concerning its history. The story of Varner Plantation begins even before Texas began, really. The story should start with Austin Colony.
That was Miss Ima. She's right, you know. The story of Varner-Hogg starts long before there was a Texas. But I always wonder, why start with the Austin Colony? Why not start with the Karankawa Indians? After all, they were here for hundreds of years before Stephen F. Austin or any of his settlers even caught sight of the Brazos River. Why not go back millions of years ago, when this plantation, like all of Texas, was underwater, and microscopic plants and animals ruled the seas? Where does our story begin? After all, Varner-Hogg didn't always look like this, and it wasn't always called Varner-Hogg. Until it became a state park, most folks knew the plantation as the Patton Place. The Varners may have been the first settlers here, but they put down no roots. Archaeological surveys suggest that there may have been a log cabin where the plantation house now stands, but they left little other impression on the land. When the Varners sold the property to Columbus Patton, they had barely stayed 10 years, the minimum required by their grant from Mexico. The Patton family, however, established the largest sustained enterprise on this site. Although slavery was outlawed in Mexican Texas and wouldn't be legalized until after the Texas Revolution years later, the Pattons brought with them about 60 African American slaves. These enslaved men, women, and children built the land into a prosperous sugar plantation. Tony Hill Kennedy's been doing research at Varner-Hogg and in Brazoria County since 1999. She spoke to us at Varner-Hogg and from her home in Fort Bend County.
My name is Tony Hill Kennedy, a descendant of enslaved people who lived and worked on plantations similar to the one that was here called the Patton Place. To me, out of every artifact that I've come across at that site, this one is the one that I hold most close to my heart. And I think mainly because of what it represents. And what does it represent? A group of people whose stories, so to speak, like these bricks, have remained on the ground, uncovered, untold, unheard, who might have dug up enough clay to shape, to fire enough bricks to build the sugar mill, the big house, to build the entire place.
When Tony had that brick in her hand, her thumb kept sliding into the same spot. There's something special about that brick. That's the thumbprint of the slave who made that brick. It sunk by chance into the soft clay, but firing it made the impression last. It's proof that even though we may be anonymous to history, we all leave our mark. These bricks have stood the test of time. They're under the plaster and the facade of the plantation house, and it stood for nearly 200 years. The Patton-era buildings on the other side of the creek, the sugar mill and the slave quarters, didn't fare as well. All that remains of the slave quarters are their foundations under the soil. And the sugar mill, it's little more than a few scattered bricks. The buildings held up when they were in use, and that itself is no mean feat. The sugar mill was more like a factory than an agricultural operation. These are images of nearby sugar mills from the same time. Patent mill would have looked much the same, with a steam engine to crush the sugar cane and a row of kettles from large to small to boil down and purify the cane juice. At harvest time, they kept the mill going round the clock, day and night, to race against the frost. Cutting, stripping, and hauling the cane was back-breaking work. Mortality rates in Caribbean sugar plantations, which were the models for Louisiana and Texas Gulf Coast sugar operations, were so high that they could only maintain their labor force through constantly importing slaves from Africa. All this to line the pockets of plantation owners.
Oh, there have been times when I've thought I couldn't last for long. Now I know I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.